Welcome to The Real Generation Gap. I'm Brady Ruiz.
I'm Fred Satilli.
And today we're going to be talking about a classic Stanley Kubrick film. This is The Killing from 1956. I was like, yeah. The Killing from 1956, starring Sterling Hayden. And
kind of a tongue twister there, isn't it?
Yeah.
Starring Sterling.
So yeah, Stanley Kubrick's third feature film. And this was your pick. So what's this one about, Fred?
Quick synopsis. A very clever criminal figures out how to do a tremendous horse racetrack robbery on the one day where there's going to be a really lot of money there and everything's going to fall into place. He needs the help of an inside man. And he gets this little guy, George, and he says, George, you're the key guy. You have to like open the door at the right times, you know, and that's like his part is very small, but very key. You know, like a key in a door, right? Yeah. He's the key guy. He assembles a group of thugs, and the group of thugs are great. They're almost like superheroes in their own way. One guy is this big, like, Russian bear wrestler, and he says, I want you to create such a disturbance that you're going to draw in like 15, 20 police to restrain you. And at one point he says, how can I make it look realistic and lose the fight? You know, which just like, it stayed with me forever. And then another character is George's wife. And George is married to a woman that's way out of his league. Yeah. And how that got started, we don't really know. But she's got a boyfriend who's sort of like a hot young guy. And George, in his desire to impress her, he tells her a little bit about the robbery. Now, she's desperate to have the hot young guy. So in order to impress him, she tells him a little bit about the robbery, and he decides he's going to rob the robbers. He's going to let them do the plan. And at the right moment, he and his buddy are going to go in and they're going to rob them, which is a really cool thing to do, right? Rob the thief. Yeah. You know? In the meantime, the genius criminal who's doing this is Sterling Hayden. He tells everybody, don't tell anybody about this. But behind his back, he's being betrayed. Now, everybody in life can identify with this. You're at home minding your own business. There's somebody in the Internal Revenue Service or a divorce lawyer or somebody somewhere is plotting to come after you. You don't know it yet, but you're getting that letter in the mail coming right up, you know. So he doesn't know that even though his plan is very, very well thought out, he's got goofy people. Yeah. Now, another superhero is the sniper. So a key to this thing is when the horses are coming around the clubhouse turn, the sniper is going to take out, like the lead horse is going to make a great big pileup. It's going to be pandemonium. And when the pandemonium occurs, that's when they're going to rob the safe. And, you know, you got the guy in the bar making the distraction. He's drawing the police away. It's all these things. Now, back then, now this is a black and white movie. Back then, there was a really great popular TV show called Dragnet. Dun, 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 right? And the way Dragnet was there was a narrator who said, like, this is Tuesday, September 26th. This is the countryside. This guy's doing this. That guy's doing that. This guy was over here. And then they cut to the people and they're doing it. And so he narrates it, but there's also the actors are acting out their parts. This movie is the same way. Because all these things are happening simultaneously, they give you like a snippet. It's like, here's what the bar fight looks like. And they show you that, but it hasn't happened yet. Then it's like, here's the sniper, what's going to happen with him, but it hasn't happened yet. Right. And then it's like, now that you know all these elements, you're going to see it because this all happens like in 2 minutes. Yeah. But it's 2 minutes, you have to know all this backstory. So it's an amazing thing that way. Now, on top of everything else, there's humans. And there's the guy who's putting up all the money to hire the gunner and the bar fight guy and everything. He's a friend of Sterling Hayden, and he says, look, when after this, we're going to escape with the money. You and I are going to go somewhere, and we're not going to do any more crime. This is going to be it. This is the big one. So that's going on. And Sterling Hayden says, well, stay away from the racetrack that day or something. But he can't help it. He shows up drunk anyway. Right. Just to observe stuff, and he doesn't belong there. The synchronicity of all this, they don't realize that when they're making the getaway, they're going to be robbed by Val and his cohort. Yeah. The handsome young man. And when they're robbed, now the betrayal, George sees that his wife has betrayed him, and he's put up with a lot of crap from her because she's really beautiful, and there's no way, it's an odd couple, And so he realizes, like what went wrong and why, and that it's her fault, and that's the limit. He's reached the limit. He's willing to put up with anything, but now she really screwed up, and in a big way, because he takes shotgun pellets, and he's got them in his face and everything. He's dying, right? So he's going to be like, well, if I'm dying, I'm taking you with me, you know? And so all of these elements combined, I won't do a spoiler.
Yeah.
Because the end is so dramatic and phenomenal.
It's a very good
You can't believe, you want to kill yourself. You're like, I don't believe, like, and the fact that it's that stupid little dog, you know what I mean? So all these people, there's guys that shoot each other, everybody dies. You know what I mean? Everybody's shooting each other, and there's all this kind of thing, but the random element that nobody knows about is, I call women like that pink ladies, because they wear all that pink rouge and stuff on their face. They always have this pink thing going on, and she's got this little dog, you know, and she's just an insufferable woman. And Daddy's coming on the big plane, she's telling us to the dog. And it's, of all the plans that everybody had, the woman, Val, George, Sterling Hayden, everything, the whole thing is busted by this stupid little dog. And that's so real life. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, you get it all together, and then somebody runs out in front of you in traffic, or you just, you come out to your car, there's a boot on the wheel, it's the wrong car, it's not even you, it's, you miss your wedding, that kind of thing. So the movie is complicated. It's got lots of great human elements. And some of these people, the guy who plays George, I think his name is Elisha Cook.
Yeah, that sounds right.
He's got a huge discography.
Yeah.
Or filmography. I mean, the guy, he's just this little insignificant guy. Yeah. He might have even been in the Maltese Falcon, but he's just this nondescript guy who's been used 50 times by all different directors and everything. And it's really, really something. Now, the one thing I didn't mention is that this is super early Kubrick. And believe it or not, the producer, he met Stanley Kubrick playing chess in Washington Square Park in New York.
Nice.
So how's that for like,
what?
You never know who you might meet. Right? You just start talking to some guy, and it's like, he's impressed with something you said. The next thing you know, you're on the jet, right? So I love it because you see Kubrick's formative style. And it's, you see scenes that are very Hitchcock looking.
Yeah.
It's 1956. It's black and white. They're experimenting. I mean, the use of light and everything. It's another one of these movies where the buildings are shapes. Mm-hmm. And this is done at a real horse track here in California, in San Mateo. And the time capsule aspect of it, where you see how the women are in dresses, the men are in suits.
Yeah, right.
These are low-grade guys. It's not, I just love everything about this. I've seen it many times now. I always get a little more out of it. And you know how it is when you haven't seen something for a while, you remember it bigger than it really was.
Right.
Like the bar fight scene is so great, but I remember it being rougher. Yeah. But it's like, no, that's okay. That's okay. He's a little smaller than I thought. Like, 'cause you're used to seeing giants now, right? He's like Hulk Hogan kind of guys or something. But in those days, a big tough guy was just a big fat guy. Yeah. Like just a guy who's a little bigger than everybody else. Because after all, they had people like Steve McQueen was a tough guy. Yeah. That guy was 160 pounds. Yeah. He couldn't go up against, the muscles from Brussels. Yeah. But anyway, I'm glad you got to see it. This is your first time watching it?
No, this is my second time.
Oh, okay, good.
So I had seen it before, and similarly, I remember really loving it the first time, and I still like it. It's still a great movie, but it didn't hold up to me as well the second time around for whatever reason. I'm sure it's going to continue to ebb and flow as I go and revisit it, but I do love the storytelling aspect, like you said, when it comes to the heist, and it's not exactly linear. They're giving you like, all right, the cop knew he had to be on the road at 3:15 p.m. to get there within 15 minutes, give or take a couple minutes. He parked there, and then you go back in time again, and here's what Nikki's doing and all that. And here's the and I do like that, and that's for me kind of the unique storytelling twist to this movie, because there's 1,000 heist movies, right? Yeah, but this is like the
TV show Dragnet.
Yeah, which apparently, from what I read, Stanley Kubrick didn't want. He hated the fact that the studio made him add the voiceover and all that stuff.
Really?
Which makes sense when you consider Kubrick, because he's very much you need to figure it out yourself kind of
Space
filmmaker.
Odyssey.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Like you just need to watch it and figure it out. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's why the studio wanted that, probably because of that comparison to the show. If that's a big show and people are into that, it makes sense that that's probably why they, made that necessary. But yeah, the way it's told, I think all the actors are great. Like Sterling Hayden is just cool. I always think of him as the Godfather, like, the cop that gets shot in the neck with Sollozzo in the Godfather. But it's always cool to see him in like these older roles. He's just always a cool criminal guy,
I always think of him as General Jack D. Ripper in
from
Dr. Strangelove.
Yeah.
Because he was so
right.
So,
Yeah, he's like really unhinged. But yeah, like all that aspect and just this idea of them, coming up with their plan, and this side plot of the guy you were talking about, George, talking to his wife, and their dialogue, and how much she just manipulates him, and he's so insecure, and he just has a look too. He's like an older guy, but has like kind of a baby face look, for lack of a better word. He has like kind of a young face, old. I can't explain it. When you watch the movie, I think people will know what I mean. And he does that part so well. She does it so well, and I just love that.
Yeah, he's the chump.
You can't say anything. Don't say anyone. Blah blah blah. And immediately the next scene is her telling her side boyfriend, what the plan is.
Yeah.
And it's set up pretty early in the movie. That's in the first third of the film that we know.
And
okay, there's a piece ready to fall later on.
Yeah, that's going to be a bad one. Sterling Hayden makes he tells the sniper, this is all you have to know. You go there, you shoot, and what happens to him is super drama, right? No spoilers. This is all you have to know. Mm-hmm. We're paying you up front in cash. Mm-hmm. You go there, you pull the trigger, and you leave. That's all. You're out.
Yeah.
He says, I want a percentage. Nope. You don't get to know the plan. Then the same thing with the wrestler.
Yeah.
You don't get to know the plan. He tries so hard. But to me, the moral of this movie is if you want to keep something a secret, you really can't tell anybody.
Yeah, right.
Because everybody, well, George especially, and then, his sneaky wife eavesdropping on him, and and then Herb and then that guy Val, he was going to take the money and run.
Yeah,
he didn't want that girl either.
And I do like
she was going to really get shafted in this story.
And when it got to that point where they bust in to take it from the guys that just
robbing
did
the robbers,
the whole heist,
Right.
I do love, and this is the part that feels kind of contemporary, is like how quickly that all gets resolved. like that dude, you think he's going to be a key player in the movie because he shows up in the beginning when Faye tells him. He comes out at the end with, guns drawn. They're going to steal the movie, and then it just done.
Steal the money.
in a few seconds, just over. The other thing I'm going to say about this is, the cinematography and sets are really good. Like, I love the photography of this movie, and I'm pretty sure, I think this is the one where there's a story about how Kubrick got in an argument with the cinematographer because he wanted a certain shot on a specific lens. And Kubrick, being a photographer, before directing movies, he knows his lenses. Yeah. And I guess the DP,
kind of like you this way.
Yeah. The DP was trying to tell, we can't do it, this move with this. Well, I gave him some excuse. And Kubrick was like, no. I want this lens. This is what you're doing. Here's why. Perspective. Like, you're not going to try to fake me out. Like, they tried to pull a fast one on him and like move the camera to a different spot and use a different lens or something. I think it was the dolly shot, which is a really cool camera move, is when they're all having their meeting in the back room and there's a knock on the door. I think it's when Faye shows up. Right. And the camera like tracks them through the rooms as they go, and they, knock her out or whatever. And they're like getting mad at George. I'm like, all right, obviously you said something.
The cameraman was Lucien Ballard. And Lucien had, I believe, won an Academy Award, was regarded as one of the top dozen or so photographers in the business. The first shot of the picture, first day, first shot, Stanley set up a shot. It was a long dolly shot. And he's lined it up specifically with a 25 millimeter lens. And he set it up and turned it over to Lucien, and Lucien said, fine, and began the elaborate business of lighting and setting a dolly track and so on. And Stanley went over to talk to Jimmy or do something and looked back sort of over his shoulder and noticed that the dolly track was much further away from where he had set the camera. He said to Lucien, what are you doing, Lucien? I put the camera here. You're pulling it way back. Why haven't you put it where I've asked for it? He said, well, I haven't changed anything. I'm using a 50mm lens to give you precisely the same coverage that you've asked for, but it's with the 50. And I've used the 50 because it makes my job a lot easier and it'll go a lot faster. And Stanley listened to this and said, but what about the change in perspective that occurs? He said, well, that really doesn't matter that much. That particular piece of information, of course, is dead wrong. The perspective changes. It's a different shot. And Stanley was aware that Lucian was simply bulling past him, but also what particularly nettled him was the assumption that he wouldn't understand this or wouldn't care about it. And Stanley said, put the camera where I told you, with the lens that I asked for, or get off the set and don't come back. He said it very quietly, very softly, and there was a look between them, and Lucian changed the setup and moved the camera where it had to be, and there was never an argument again.
It's funny too. I see a lot now watching this a second time. I feel like this movie really influenced Chris Nolan in a big way. The first time I watched the movie, it was obvious, like the creepy clown mask Sterling Hayden wears when he's taking the money.
Right.
I'm like, oh, The Dark Knight. It's like the same exact aesthetic. So, all right, Chris Nolan definitely took inspiration from this, but also in that kind of non-linear storytelling and like seeing the way the heist is playing out from the different characters.
Yeah, you didn't even know that mask
timelines.
You didn't even know that mask was coming.
Yeah.
You know, that was just in the gym bag that went in the locker.
Yeah.
You know.
But I think that this definitely had a big influence on the way he tells stories, just the kind of timeline aspect of it. You know, it made me think of Dunkirk. Honestly, that's quite a bit more extreme.
Wow.
But it's kind of similar in that, like, all right, in this 10 minutes, this is what's happening with this guy. In this 2-hour period, this is what's happening with this guy. And when they all kind of connect. And I love, too, when Sterling Hayden puts the gun in the box of roses. I just think Terminator 2. I was just waiting for the moment where he just drops the flowers and the guns in there. That doesn't happen, but it's just a cool hiding place, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, it's a hell of a movie and well worth, repeated viewings. And it's funny because although I think the cinematography and the direction is good, it's not quite like Kubrick. He's still finding his way. I think it's his third feature.
Very
and like
formative.
the first like kind of real big one he did, because the two before this were like an hour and 10 minutes. One of them he doesn't even want anyone to watch. Like this is kind of where he really, I feel, starts.
Right. Me too.
Yeah. And I think like Paths of Glory is when you start to see him hone into like a little more of a style, like the beginning. But yeah, man, it's a great movie, fun heist movie, great characters, just great filmmaking all around.
All right. Well, I think that's it. I think we've pretty much beat it to death.
Yeah.
I'm Fred. This is Rudy. The Killing, 56, Stanley Kubrick. Thanks for watching.